Listening.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
A very
Warahmatullahi
welcome to all participants in today's Zoom meeting. It is both an honor and a pleasure for me to serve as the moderator for this session. My name is Nur Afifah Minasana, and I represent the five group. Before we begin, I would like to kindly remind everyone to please keep your microphone mute and please open your camera. And our group presentation today will focus on the topic of social context of second language acquisitions. A subject we have carefully researched and discussed together. We hope the insight we share today will be valuable and informative for all of you. The presentation will be delivered in six parts, with each member of the group presenting a specific section. The first one is communicative, that will be presented by Dian and Diva. And then the next is about micro, that will be presented by Nur and Roy. And then the next is also micro, that will be delivered by Nafis and Najma. Okay, we continue to the material. For the first speaker, I would like to call Dian. Time is yours.
Okay, thank you for the time, Miss Afi. Today I would like to explain you about communicative competence. Communicative competence is basically the ability to use language effectively in real life situations. It's not just about knowing grammar and vocabulary, but also about understanding when, where, and how to use the language depending on the situation. This idea was introduced by Dale Hymes as a way to expand on Noam Chomsky's concept of linguistic competence, which focused mainly on grammar. In simple terms, communicative competence is about being able to communicate naturally and appropriately in different contexts. So yeah, it's not enough to just know all the rules. You've got to know how to actually use them when you're talking to real people. Like you wouldn't talk to your best friend the same way you talk to your boss, right? Or you might use slang with friends, but sounds more proper in a job interview. Communicative competence is what helps you switch it up smoothly without sounding weird or out of place. There are four main parts of communicative competence: grammatical competence, sociolinguistic competence, discourse competence, and strategic competence. First is grammatical competence, means knowing the rules of a language, like how to form sentences correctly. So basically, it's about making sure your words are in the right order. Your verbs match your subjects, and you're not saying something that sounds weird or confusing. It's like having the basic building blocks you need to actually say what you mean without people scratching their heads. Second is sociolinguistic competence. It's about understanding social and cultural rules, like when to use formal or informal language. So it's knowing stuff like when you should say good morning, sir, instead of just say hey, what's up, depending on who you are talking to and where you are. It's all about reading the vibe of the situation and adjusting the way you speak, so you don't come off as rude or awkward without meaning to. Third is discourse competence, is the ability to connect sentences smoothly so they make sense in a conversation or text. So it's not just about throwing random sentences together. It's about making sure everything flows naturally, like telling a story that actually makes sense instead of jumping all over the place. It's what helps your listener or reader follow along without getting lost or confused. Fourth is strategic competence. Help people deal with communication problems, like when they forget a word or don't understand something and need to ask for clarifications. So basically, it's like having tricks up your sleeve to keep the conversation going. Maybe you describe the word you forgot, gesture a little, or just straight up say, sorry, what do you mean? It's all about not freaking out when you hit up and finding smart ways to keep talking. That's all for me, Miss Afi. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for your explanation, Miss Ian. And then we continue to the next presenter. That is, I'm going to call Miss Zuba. Time is yours.
Okay, here I will I'm so sorry. Uh, the example for communicative first is imagine someone speaking English in different situations. If they're at a job interview, they might say, "Good morning, it's a pleasure to meet you. I'm excited to be here today." But when talking to a friend, they probably just say, "Hey, nice to see you." Even though both sentences mean the same thing, the way they say is different because of the context. That's an example of sociolinguistic competence, knowing how to adjust language based on the situation. And next is another example is when a language learner forgets a word but still conversation, they say that thing in the kitchen that they keep cold, even though they didn't use the exact word, the listener will probably understand. This is strategy competence in action. It helps keep conversation flowing even when there are small difficulties. By developing a four aspects of communicative competence, people can become more confident and natural speakers in any language. Enough from me. Thank you.
Are you done, Miss Diva? Okay, we continue to the next speaker, presenter, that is about micro, that will be presented by Miss Nur. Time is yours.
Oke, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Today, I will explain about microsocial factor in second language acquisitions. These are the factors that focus on direct interaction and the immediate social content that influence how someone learns a new language. Number one, variation in the learner's language. First, let's talk about variation in the learner's language. The language used by someone learning a second language is not always the same. It changes depending on the situations and social context. These variations can be seen in vocabulary, pronunciation, grammar, sentence structure, and even how they organize their ideas. Researchers have found that these variations are influenced by three main contexts: the language itself, psychological factors like how much attention is paid to form, and the immediate situation or interactions. Even after considering all these factors, variation still exists and it's a natural part of learning a new language. Number two, input and interactions. The second point is about input and interactions. Input means the language that learners are exposed to, and it's essential for learning both first and second language. Social instruction is also very important. It helps learners get more exposure to the language, focus on important parts, and learn how to build sentences and conversations. Native speakers often adjust their language when speaking to learners. For example, they ask simpler words, speak more slowly, and emphasize key points. This is called foreigner talk. They also help learners by repeating, refreshing, or asking for clarifications. These strategies help learners understand and use the language better. Finally, feedback from native speakers is crucial. It lets learners know if they make mistakes and show them the correct way. This feedback can be direct, like correcting a mistake, or indirect, like repeating the correct form. In summary, microsocial factors like variation in language use and the role of input and interaction are key elements in how people learn a second language. Understanding this can help teachers and learners make the learning process more effective. Okay, maybe that's all I can say, Miss Afi. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for your explanation, Miss Nur. Okay, we continue to the next material, the next lesson that will be presented by Mr. Roy. Time is yours.
Oke, assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Okay, I will explain about microsocial factor. Microsocial factor is second language acquisition refer to broad social, cultural, and historical concept that influence how individual learn second language. Okay, number one. Number one, status of language, the social importance and the present attention to both the learn of first language and the second language can significantly impact motivation and effort in the learning social identity. Okay, number two, social identity, learning identity enriching their ethnic character or social group can influence how they interact with the language learning process and how to perfect their own pace within the broader community culture influence. Number three, culture in influences. The flu belief and norm of the target culture can shape the way learner approach language learner and the understanding of the language culture nowadays. Okay, number four. Demi juga.
Next.
Hello, next.
Sorry, Sis Diva, please.
Number four. Politics and education. The politics and practice within educational system as well as broader political context can affect language learning efforts and the emphasis placed on the language learning in the film reputation. Okay, the last. Okay, the last. Identity as like learner might be more motivation to learn a language is seen as per to higher education is apportation. Okay, the last assess. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Okay, thank you for your explanation, Mr. Roy. Before that, I do apologize, guys. I think Mr. Roy is over explained because actually the next lesson is will be presented by Miss Nafis that she will presented the has the micro that has been presented by Mr. Roy. Is it okay, Miss Nafis?
Yes, okay.
It's okay. Okay, let's continue to the.
Oke, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Now I will explain about the macro-social factor in speech that has been presented by Hafi. Refer to the broader societal, culture, and historical context that shape the language learning. This factor include the first is the language status, the prestige and important attached to both and learner first language and second language can impact motivations. The status of the language play a significant role in shaping learner motivations when a second language is perceived as the prestigious or valuable. Learners are more likely to be motivated to learn it, driven by the political benefit it offers in terms. I'm sorry. The second is the social identity. Learners' social identity, including their ethnic, racial, or social group, this influence their interactions with the language learning process. This means that who they are, where they come from, and the group they belong to it can affect how they approach learning a new language, their motivations, and their sense of belonging or identity in the target language community. The next is about the cultural influence. The target culture values, beliefs, and norms play a significant role in the shaping learner approach to the language learning. Culture attitude toward communication style, respect, and literacy and can influence learner language use and interactions. Additionally, culture norm around language learning, such as the emphasis on the memorization or practice. This culture influence can either facilitate or challenge the language learning process depending on the learner background and the target culture's characteristic. And the next is about the political and educational context. The political and educational context significantly impact language learning opportunities and outcomes. Factors such as language policy, educational curricula, and assessment method influence access to the quality instructions, learner language proficiency, and academic achievement. This also play a crucial role in shaping resource availability, teacher training, and community support, all of which affect language learning outcomes. And the last about is the stereotypes and prejudices. Soci- Societal attitudes toward specific language speaker can impact learner perceptions and identities. Social attitude toward specific language speaker and can profound- profoundly impact learner perceptions and identities. And this can lead to the internalized bias, language anxiety, and difficulty in identifying which the the target language culture. And this negative attitude can shape learner experience and identities, influence their language learning journey and overall well-being. This macro-social factor from the larger environments in which language learning takes place and influencing learner attitude, belief, and motivations. Okay, that's all from me. Sorry for all mistakes.
Okay, thank you for your explanation, Ms. Nafis. We continue to the next presenter, that is, sorry, I'm going to call Ms. Najma. Time is yours.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Afi. Can I will explain about macrosocial example. The first, a learner might be more motivated to learn a language if it is seen as a pathway to higher education or career opportunities, highlighting the status of the second language in society. Example, like there's people, the name is Andi. Andi lives in Indonesia, but he dreams of studying abroad. Example, in the United States. Andy knows that in order to study in America, he must be fluent in English. Therefore, Andy is very motivated to study English diligence. Andy sees English as a break to achieve his dream. Second example, a learner's cultural identity might influence their interpretations of jokes or items in the second language, showing how cultural context shapes language comparison. Let's say there are two people learning English. There's Siti and also John. Siti, an Indonesian woman who writes in a culture that values politeness and subtlety in communication, and John's an American man who was raised in a more direct culture that often uses sarcastic humor. And they both hear this sentence in English, example, break a leg. Actual meaning, this is an expression used in meaning good luck. But Siti's understanding, Siti might be confused or even overwhelmed. She might think, why is this person telling me to break a leg? And John's, As Americans, John Wolfe immediately understands that this is a positive expression and word love. And these cultural differences affect how they understand the same expression in English. And the last, the availability of language learning research and the impact of language education in schools can impact how readily a learner is able to acquire a second language. For example, there are people who want to learn English. Example, Rudy lives in a big city where there are many English language courses, libraries with English book, and at school, English is a subject that is taught well. And there are one people again, Sinta, live in a remote village far from course. It is difficult to find English language book or learning materials, and at school, English is only taught in a rudimentary manner. Okay, in these situations, Rudy has more learning research. English language education at Rudy School is more impressive and of high quality. Most likely, Rudy will master Japanese more easily and quickly than Sinta. Why? Because he has better access to learning research and better education. Okay, I think that's for me. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for all presenter for your explanations. Okay, we continue to the next session, that is Q&A sessions. If you guys have a question, just please open your microphone and open cam and say your name. Is there any questions? Guys? No question, guys? Okay, I think no question. So, in conclusions, social contexts play a profoundly significant role in shaping second language acquisition, exerting a lasting impact on language learning outcomes, learning identity, and cultural integrations. The complex and dynamic interplay between language, culture, and social context influence every aspect of the language learning process, from the opportunities for language practice and feedback to the development of linguistic and cultural competence. By understanding the social context of second language acquisition, educators and researchers can develop more effective language teaching and learning strategies that take into account to diverse needs and experiences of language learners. I think that's all from me. Thank you guys for your attention. I am as the moderator, Rafi Aminasana. Would like to say goodbye. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Jangan keluar dulu. Take a picture. your camera